Okay, so one of the last stories we're going to do today is about a film that came out, oh, I don't know, quite, some time ago. I think like 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and ever since we've had the Snyder Cut, okay, we've had all of these other cuts, if you will, um, to come out and basically say, oh, release this cut or release that cut, or, you know, I mean, we've heard that, there was actually a 45-minute longer version of Avengers Infinity War that the Russos did not, you know, they just didn't do because they didn't want to repeat. Anyways, I'm talking about Rogue One. Rogue One is one of those stories that it was okay. I mean, I call Rogue One Star Wars 3.5 because we have the story of the Empire. We have how Darth Vader came in, and of course we have Episode 4, A New Hope, and you know we one of the stories that had never been told over the course of many decades, many movies, is how the rebels got the plans. That's what this story is. It is the rebels getting the plans to blow up that first Death Star. So it's been a minute since I've seen this, but it was a good movie. Um, it was an introduction of characters, and how they were done and everything else. So this comes from THR, and Tony Gilroy, who was the director of this movie. Well, I'm sorry, I believe he was the director or the editor. Anyways, now mind you, this is the same guy that did the Bourne series. Okay, says that there will never be a better edit of Rogue One, and it does not exist. So, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is perhaps the most maddening of the Disney Star Wars films. There is so much potential that made it on screen, and also so much that stumbles along the way. The film is gorgeously shot by Dune cinematographer Greg Fraser. The ending is emotional and shocking. Casting Andor, which of course we have, the whole Andor series, Dialga Luna, and his robot sidekick K2SO remain enduring. Yet the film is burdened by a soggy midsection of listless lead characters, including Jay Urso, played by Felicity Jones, among other issues, or perhaps not, debating exactly what went wrong with Rogue One is the part of the fandom. So uh, let's transition. Star Wars fans have long wondered if perhaps a better edit might someday be released, given how much footage was shot for the film that did not make it into the final cut. So, for example, this shot you see here was actually in one of the very first trailers, but never made it into the film. The production famously was directed by Garth Edwards, then underwent 5 weeks of reshoots with Tony Gilroy taking over to punch up Gary Witter's script and oversee the additional filming. Rogue One's initial trailer and TV spots, which is shown below, which you guys can YouTube if you want, um, contains many tantalizing shots, including this one you're seeing on the screen, that hinted at scenes that never made the final cut. So the version that was released in theaters by Disney is the best possible edit. Could there ever be a bigger and better version of Rogue One someday down the road? Gilroy, coming off the massive critical acclaim of the first season of Disney Plus's Rogue One prequel, Andor, gave us a definitive answer. No, that was the absolute best possible version you could ever have. Oh my God, no. More detail, please. I'm not going to go into any more detail. Gilroy tells the DHR an interview before the strike. But the more authority that you hear But the more authority that you hear people talk online about what happened in the movie, the less they know. That's all that needs to be said. Maybe someday, but no. That's the absolute best version of the movie that you could possibly imagine in the time that was given. Actor Ben Mendelsohn, who played the villainous Orson Krennic in the film, said in 2016 that the production's unused footage has been told a vast num- has been told a vastly different would have told a vastly different story. There were enormous differences within, I would say 20 or 30 of the shots, he said, that would be enormously different renderings. Gilroy is currently working on filming his second and the final season of Andor in the UK. The new episodes are expected to debut in 2024. Meanwhile, Edwards' upcoming Disney sci-fi film, The Crater, originally titled True Love, is generating very positive buzz after its trailer and was recently revealed at CinemaCon. The film examines the emotions humanity must endure in the face of a robotic threat. One writer from THR in the room compared it to, well, Rogue One, in a good way. Okay, let's talk about this. So, I think the fact that you have some, people wanting a better cut, if you will, just be happy with what you have. Because, for example, this shot here never made it into film, and it's stunning. But I also know why. Okay, um, it's one of those things where I don't understand the perpetuation of stuff like this, because if you want to put it in a deleted scene, fine, okay, but to say there's a completely different film out there or add-on film, just be happy with what you have. That's why, honestly, that's why I buy when when I buy Blu-rays, and that's all I buy is Blu-rays. But when I buy movies, I only buy Blu-rays for the deleted scenes, because DVDs don't usually offer it. They'll offer a couple things, but Blu-rays are more in depth. They'll offer little documentaries about it, deleted scenes, everything, and that's, to me, that's where the meat and potatoes is. That's where the the basic story comes from, and everything else. Um, Look, just be happy with what you have. And I think that when you are happy with what you have, because look, you're never going to please everybody. And I think that's something to be said. And, maybe 20 years down the road, like Gilroy said, we're going to get something that's better than what we have now. But better to who? Better to somebody else out there? Or better to, a few people? You're never going to be able to please anybody. And that's the beauty about film, okay? Is that you can like a film, but somebody else may not. And then you not try to convince them, but you tell them why, and vice versa. It's art. It's just a visual medium. Yeah, so I think that it's something that needs to be, just put to bed. You know, it just needs to be put to bed, and you know, it is what it is. It is what it is, and that's we can always wonder, right? So, anyways, what do you guys think about this? Have you seen Rogue One? Did you like Rogue One? Did you think it fit in to all of the different lore of Star Wars? Who was your favorite character of Rogue One? Did you like Endor? Leave me your thoughts down in the comment section, and I'll get back to everybody.